Welcome, everyone. My name is Rob Mackay. I'm the director of the Queens Tourism Council, and this is the third edition of the It's in Queens podcast, which is a weekly podcast that tells you about what's going on in the borough in the upcoming weekend. To my left is Chris Donovan from the Daily News. He's also a lifetime Queens resident, big Queens enthusiast. And what am I missing?
No, you got it. Born in Jackson Heights, schooled in Briarwood, or living in Flushing. Give me a town, and I've lived in it in Queens.
Good, very good. Flushing right now.
Flushing as of today. Yeah.
So last week, if anyone remembers from last week, I asked Chris what his favorite restaurant was, and he talked about a Korean barbecue place in Flushing.
Kumgaesan.
What's that, about 140th Street in
like
Northern
149, right before the YMCA on
about
Northern.
there.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to keep it with Korean culture for our top item this week. There's a group called Black String, which is a 4-piece band. They play traditional Korean instruments, but they play modern jazz with them.
That's an interesting mix.
Some of the instruments that they play are the Geomungo.
Of course,
which is like a zither.
A zither. I don't even know what a zither is, let alone the Korean translation.
I don't know easy, but I'm going to guess it's a string.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You'll have to go to this event to find out what it is. They also play the daigium, which are the bamboo flutes.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, really cool. Then they have traditional percussion, and of course, the guitar is a jazz guitar. They are playing at Flushing Town Hall on January 26th at 8 o'clock. They are not big in the English-speaking world, but in the Korean-speaking world, they are actually quite big. Flushing Town Hall has a guy working there named Sean Choi,
great guy.
He's sort of the bridge between Korean art and Queens. He brings in some tremendous bands. I saw a group. He once gave me some tickets to. They play this kind of traditional Korean music, which dates back to when people worked on rice blogs. And you would chant, and the chanters had to be both male and female to get all the spirits in while they were chanting out. So they would be communing with nature and communing with all of with the two genders and singing whatever came out of their mind or their mouths. And so this was a modern version of that, and it was just the best.
It's very similar to an Irish wake. There's
very similar
a lot of people
to an
singing,
Irish wake.
and no one knows what's going on.
Now, my next question for you, Chris, is what do you think BPM stands for?
BPM in the music world is beats per minute.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Well, there's a film called Beats Per Minute, or BPM. It's actually called BPM.
Oh.
It is going to screen 5 times at the Museum of the Moving Image this weekend. The movie is actually a love story that takes place in Paris in the 1990s, but it involves activists fighting for the rights and more funding for people with HIV/AIDS, and a love story sort of unfolds between the protests, the rallies, the debates, the discussions, and the celebrations. So it sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, it does.
It kind of reminds you of the book
And the band plays on. That's right.
Right,
Yeah,
which is
I saw the movie part, which was on HBO for I think it was like a miniseries. Alan Alda was in that. How about this? Do you know what EDM stands for?
Is it electronic dance music?
Look at that. You got it.
I only know that because they gave a concert once in City Field. Do you listen to electronic dance music?
I'm not a humongous fan. I understand the allure of it.
Really?
But I need a little more going on in my music than just thumping and screaming.
I think my philosophy is EDM, WTF.
Nice.
Anyway, so they tell me that you have a 5-year-old son who loves the New York Hall of Science.
Oh, one of his favorite places in the world, yeah.
So now we actually have 2 events that involve recycling this weekend. One of them is where children go to a workshop at the New York Hall of Science, and they will make toy robots out of recycled materials.
Oh, yeah. We did a Christmas recycled material thing a couple of weeks ago when the gingerbread house was still up
At the Hall of Science?
at the Hall of Science.
With your 5-year-old son?
With the little guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Was it fun?
It was. It was great. He got to make shadow puppets, and he built me an ornament, and he also did everything else that was available at the Hall of Science that day. We were indoors, so the outdoor stuff wasn't on for that day.
Fantastic. Yeah, the thing about the Hall of Science is that most of their workshops, you pay to get into the get into the museum, and you can go through the whole museum, and then you go to the workshop for free as well.
Yeah, he was there for Lego Fest as well, which was another humongous win for Dad.
Lego Fest, yeah.
That was a good one.
That is a good one. The other event is actually just basically around the corner from where you live at the Queens Botanical Garden.
That's right.
So you have no excuse not to go.
I'll be there.
It's what they call e-waste recycling. Did you know that electronic waste is responsible for about 70% of the toxins in our landfills in the U.S., according to the EPA? They only make up about 1% of the volume, but 70% of the toxins. Plus, as we all know, e-waste contains lead, cadmium, mercury, flame retardants, all that kind of stuff. So in this case, you'll have 6 hours on January 28th from 10 to 4. You can drop off any kind of e-waste you have, an old computer, an old fax machine, TV. Can
I drop my Betamax off?
I think you drop your Betamax.
All right.
Have you been looking to get rid of your 8-track cassette
No,
player?
that thing's got to stick around.
That thing's sticking around.
Prosperity. Yeah.
All right.
I'm never going to give up my soundtrack to
the Bay City Roller.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the 8-track. So anything else? Keyboards, DVD players. I guess scanners would be good.
Yeah, old phones. The old flip phones.
Yeah, you drop it off.
Anything with the lithium-ion battery's got to be recycled.
Exactly. And the whole idea is you drop this off, and they work with the Lower East Side. There's a nonprofit in the Lower East Side. They will actually have a way of disposing of the waste, so it doesn't get into it will not get into any of the water streams or anything else. It's like a separate way of getting rid of this kind of waste.
And that goes along with everything else Queens is doing. I just got the bucket for my food waste.
Yes.
Which we're now composting in Queens as well.
Yes, we're now composting. The other things I would like to mention are the fact that a lot of people don't know this, but Queensboro has a symphony orchestra. We have an oratorio society.
No civilized society should be without a symphony orchestra.
Exactly. We have a symphony orchestra and a symphonic choir.
Nice.
And they are going to get together this Sunday at Mary's Nativity Church in Flushing. That's the 28th at 8 p.m. And they're going to sing basically a lot of Beethoven, his choral fantasy, with a pianist named Noe Otomasu. They're also going to play Bach's Violin Concerto in E. As you know, they have a kind of a well-known maestro whose name is Don Hyun Kim. So if you like classical music, and I can tell you, Mary's Nativity Church, it's a beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, you've been there?
Yeah, absolutely. On Parsons, right?
It's on Parsons Boulevard, exactly. It is a fantastic place to watch sort of spiritual music like that. So
you can definitely, it's a perfect setting.
It's the perfect venue for that kind of music. Other things I'd like to mention is something called Antibodies, which is on the 28th again, 2 to 6. It's a full afternoon of performance art, reading, and installations at MoMA PS1.
Oh, very nice. Very nice venue.
Now, they are all of those art forms are being organized and performed by Tropical Cream, which is a platform for female identifying and gender non-conforming people working at the intersection of contemporary art and technology.
That is a
Did
mouthful.
You get all that?
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Wow, look at that.
In other words, you're going to see some creative, a little bit wacky stuff.
Yeah.
We can say wacky.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to notice that all of the performances that they will do match well with some of the ongoing performances, the video installations, and other things that they have at the museum. Have you ever been to the museum before?
I was actually at PS1 for an EDM.
EDM?
Yeah, for
WTF. Okay.
EDM
You were at PS1 for EDM.
They do like a Sunday night party over there.
They had in the summer they have the Saturday seasons that are outdoors.
Yes.
I've actually never been, but people say they're great.
It was very nice.
Other couple things I'd like to mention before we go. There is an H2O system trivia contest at Queens Museum. If you've been to the Queens Museum, you know that they have a whole exhibition there on water, how we get it here in New York City. They're going to have a trivia question on the New York. It's a trivia contest. Teams of 4 can compete. It's going to be questions related to New York City's water system. And there's a person who's going to speak about the watershed relief map. Now, have you heard about this watershed relief map?
No, give it to me.
It's got a heck of a story. It was created for the 1939 World's Fair, but since World War II was breaking out, after they created the map, they decided to hide it because they were afraid that German spies were going to look at the watershed and they were going to attack it to keep New York City from getting water. So they put it in storage and they forgot about it. And so from 1939 until 1997, it was in storage and no one knew about it until a city worker walked into it at a pumping station in the Bronx.
Wow.
So they're going to unveil this map of what the water system looked like in 1939. Someone's going to speak about it, and then the teams will compete to see who the best, and may the best team win.
Man, good luck with that. If you have water knowledge, that's probably the place to be.
Yes. And the other thing I'd like to say, that Sculpture Center.
We mentioned them last week, yeah.
Sculpture Center has an opening reception for 2 of their shows on January 28th at 5 p.m. It has been closed for renovations and for installations. Sculpture Center, as some people know, it's a converted trolley warehouse repair shop. And Maya Lin, the woman the architect who did the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., did the renovation of the Sculpture Center.
Wow.
So it's really, it
Good
started,
resume.
Yeah, it started out as a place for people that love to work in clay, and now it's become, they say it's the biggest sort of emerging artist gallery in Queens. So that's it. That's some of the stuff that we have. We will get everything else out on our website, on our Twitter, on our Facebook and Instagram, and It's in Queens. It'sInQueens.com, #It'sInQueens, etc., etc. Thank you very much for joining us. This was our 3rd ever. Yeah. I don't know if it's 3 strikes you're out or the 3rd time is the charm, but
I feel like we're building steam now. I feel like this is becoming a movement.
Yes. Thank you all for watching, and we are expecting a very special guest tomorrow, next week. So please join us then. Thank you very much.